Well, our next guest, Australian rock legend and co-founding member of INXS, 4 decades on from the birth of that band, this man has become the first member to release a solo album, and we're thrilled to hear it and to have him here with us. Andrew Farris, hi.
Hi, how are you?
Very well.
Good to see you again.
Thank you.
So you're the first one to release a solo album.
Yeah, I don't know how that happened. I seem to always be first through the door, doesn't matter what I do in my life. This is how it rolls out.
You've already written something like 200 songs, so you've obviously been... your back pocket's just full of songs. Yeah,
I know. I was having trouble sitting down, actually, when I came in the room. But, no, it's a nice problem to have. I've always been a fairly prolific songwriter, and I'm writing new songs right now as I'm speaking to you. Even though I should be promoting the ones I'm sitting here talking to you about.
Yep.
But
as you're talking to us, you're scribbling songs.
But 200
Exactly.
songs, how do you know which one's good and which one... Because there'd be songs that you'd sit there and go, this is great.
Yeah.
And then there might be ones where record executives or radio people say, oh, no, I like this other one that you did.
Again, it's a good problem to have. I mean, I really don't sort of stress over that. I think the main thing is I've sort of learnt to trust myself a bit. And also that's another reason why I like writing with other songwriters, because other songwriters will tell you pretty quickly if they think it's, okay or not. And then that bounce off, if you like, or that feedback, that instant thing when you're writing with someone is really important.
I love that. It makes me tear up when you and Michael are sitting at the piano and you're playing Never Tear Us Apart.
Yeah.
And just the way you're noodling on the piano, and then it still gives me chills, just the way he's doing the lyrics. The lyrics haven't thought through, because he'd write the lyrics with you, you'd write the song and he'd write the lyrics.
The way it often worked between Michael and I we were really fortunate because we had sort of a really compatible sense of sort of creative whatever it was that we did together. But yeah, lyrically, Michael was brilliant, and also he didn't actually play a musical instrument, you see, and his instrument was his voice. Whereas, I was classically trained on piano. I was a little kid and I knew how to play instruments, so it was a good match, the two of us, yeah, and we weren't competitive. You hear about other acts or groups or whatever, and they both wrote songs together, and then they were very competitive later on. I never thought of it that way with Michael.
Yeah. Well, it's like Mick and Keith of the Rolling Stones.
The Beatles and stuff.
And when they had all that trouble. So now they've reconciled that whenever the Rolling Stones play, Mick goes backstage and Keith does his set in the middle of the concert. And that's when you can go and get a beer and stuff like that, because Keith's doing his stuff. But you guys didn't have that.
Not exactly, no. I have met some of the Rolling Stones over the years, and... yeah, that was really interesting. Interesting people. Funny people, actually.
Funny, ha-ha?
Yeah, as in it's not what I thought they were going to be.
So they're good company and sort of light?
Yeah, exactly. They're surprisingly light as people, and entertaining. They don't take themselves too seriously at all as people.
Because I always see you guys when like the Wembley concert, when you guys are there, there's a moment where you're all there and it's almost like, geez, how did we get here? There's a look of this astonishment on your face. Yeah,
well, actually, I think Bill Wyman was wandering around backstage. In fact, there was so many people that were quite well known who you'd know wandering around. I got really nervous about that, just, the backstage area of that concert. So I thought, where can I go be by myself for a minute, because I need to gather my thoughts. So I just sat in the toilet with a beer and had a cigarette before I went on stage. Because it was the only place I could think to go where there wasn't someone in my face, That's what it was like.
Casual. And are you finding now you're presenting your own songs you've written on your own?
Yeah.
Have you got a sense of nerves about it again?
They're good nerves. Yeah, I make sure, I'm about to go on tour, which I'm excited about. I'm going to tell everybody I'm doing a tour coming up, and obviously around Australia, except Tassie, because at the time we booked it, we couldn't go down there, and NT, I want to get up there too, but for the rest of Australia, including New South Wales, we head out and tour. But I get nerves, but nerves are important. They're just part of what you do, really. But yeah, I'm a bit nervous about it.
It's a good phase to be in, isn't it? And how do you feel then sitting down at a piano and you now coming up with the lyric?
I'm okay with that. As we were talking about earlier, when I was working with Michael, because he didn't play an instrument, and I think it was important for him, being the lead singer of INXS, that he delivered the lyric that he wanted to sing about on stage, because it meant something to him if he wrote it, you see, and he could deliver it with passion and everything. And what an incredible performer he was and singer. And I'm finding the same thing. If I write my lyric and I'm going out there singing it, at least I believe in what I'm singing about. You know?
And you've got album has a real country rock, almost Keith Urban-esque vibe about it.
Yeah, I like Keith. I met him a couple of times, a long time ago. Yeah, and we wrote a song together actually, Keith and I and Olivia Newton-John.
Really?
In France, yeah, a long time ago. But yeah, no.
Very casual.
They just slipped your mind.
They just came to stay in the chalet, and next minute you're writing a song.
Actually, it was a castle in the Périgord district of France. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right. So Keith and Olivia just came over to stay
In your
and wrote a
castle?
song, and
No,
this
it
just
wasn't
came
quite
to you
like that. No, it was actually about
And
3
this
months.
just came to you now.
It was about 3 months after my mum passed away of cancer, and I was living in England at the time. I lived in England for only 5 years, and Miles Copeland had a castle in the Périgord district of France. It was, believe it or not, 12th century castle next door to Richard the Lionheart's castle, of course, as you do.
Yep.
And he was having a songwriters retreat there. Some people who've been there might understand where I'm talking about, what it was, but basically his idea was to get groups of songwriters like-minded to write songs. And when I got there, Keith and Olivia happened to be there, and I'd met Keith before. I'd never met Olivia before. What a lovely lady.
Beautiful.
Yeah. And then, of course, Keith's a nice guy.
He's all
And
right.
did you find that your sensibilities converged in a good way?
Yeah. No, it was interesting too because, I think Olivia herself had been through a difficult experience, with her own health concerns, and my mother had passed away, and so we got on quite well talking about various things. Yeah. So, but she's a lovely lady and awesome talent.
And can I
Goodness.
ask you,
Yeah.
12th century castle, but modern plumbing?
Yeah.
Yeah, modern plumbing. And
There's
they had
always a downside to
Because
those
that's where they got the
places.
long drop from. I was watching, the long drop toilet, as we know in the castle.
Right.
So in the old days, modern plumbing, the lord would be upstairs, and there was a shaft that ran down the side of the castle, and then there was a guy that used to have to shovel that out. But raiders would attack the castle by going up
the shaft.
Up the shaft.
Who
Well,
wants
let's leave
that
that one
job?
alone. But I was going to say, that I think that's highly likely.
Yes, yes.
That's the sort of thing I'd do, is go up a big shaft like that if I was going to invade a castle.
Well, you work in the music business, you're well familiar with shafting.
Climbing up a backside.
Not really. Anyway, yeah.
Andrew,
I think I know what you mean.
the self-titled album is now. Can we hear Good Mama Bad? I love Good Mama Bad. Always a treat to see you. The self-titled album is available now. Andrew Farris, thank you.
Thanks, mate. Great. And
Nice
thanks,
to
Amanda.
see you.
Great to see you too, Jonesy. If I can speak properly.
You're doing very well.
Let the songs do the talking.
Jonesy and Amanda's
Jam Nation.
Do you know what BYOD stands for?
Bring your own dog.
Bring your own donuts.
Bring your own device.
If you need help finding a device for school, Officeworks has the right tech, specs, and expertise for big back-to-school plans.
The GWM Ute is up for the challenge. Born tough and built smart.